Hello everybody, Disciple here with Overwatch Curios. New heroes are always a big deal in the Overwatch universe, and lately fans have been speculating and wondering just who the next hero will be since it's been about 3 months since Sombra. There are a lot of different theories and guesses about the upcoming additions to the roster, including everything from the heavily assumed and hinted at heroes to the completely fabricated fan theories. Recently, Blizzard has teased us with a news article surrounding the celebrated scientific exploits of Ethio Liddell. Let's take a look at our theory about who the next Overwatch hero could be and how the hero might fit into the game. Let's get started. There's been a lot of publicity about Doomfist and speculation here and there lately with all of the Terry Crews appearances and desire for Doomfist to be put into the game since even before the game was released, which was even more enhanced since the dev team has been talking about new heroes being created via social media and the forums. Many were under the assumption that Doomfist would be the next upcoming hero, but were surprisingly and ultimately wrong. Earlier this month, Jeff Kaplan hit the forums hard with the news that 24, meaning the 24th hero in the game, is not who you think it is, in response to a forum poster asking about the team listing the new heroes. While the name Doomfist doesn't appear in Jeff's message, the entire community has been under the assumption that Doomfist is imminent with all the talk and buzz around the possible future hero, not only talking about who's going to be voice acting it, but even what kind of hero he could be and what his abilities might be. The most obvious conclusion from this is that Hero 24 will not be Doomfist. However, Doomfist may still very well be a hero eventually, or some other hero closely associated with him. With all of the talk, in-game evidence, and the response from Blizzard on social media about Doomfist, it'd probably be a pretty big shock to the community if he never actually made it into the game in any way, shape, or form. Blizzard has often teased heroes and external media like the animated shorts and comics with some sort of social media poster imagery. Very recently, they've actually done so again with an Atlas news article set in the present time of Overwatch detailing the award-winning robotic creations of Ethio Liddell, an 11-year-old African girl from Numbani, the most technologically advanced city in the Overwatch world. The article talks about Efi and her impressive achievements in robotics and artificial intelligence, and the fact that she's accomplished amazing feats by the age of 11. She's become the most recent recipient of the Genius Grant in recognition of her accomplishments by the Ottaway Foundation. The article continues with an interview that shows Efi describing how she became interested in robotics and AI, saying that she became obsessed with putting together little drones as a younger child after her parents purchased a robotics kit. She admits to trying to build robots to do the chores around the house, showing her ingenuity in robotic development even on a very small level. She then goes on to describe how she wants to create things that make our lives better, and that someday her dream is to build something that can keep us safe, like the new OR-15s, which we're assuming is some sort of robot or drone, or even a new type of Omnic. Part 2 of our theory here is that Efi may not actually be a fully controllable hero herself. On Reddit back in January, a post surfaced detailing what was, at the time, considered a fake leak by the community for the most part. The image showed a post describing some upcoming events and heroes that Blizzard have been working on, like a Lunar New Year event, a new origin story, and information on a new hero that wasn't Doomfist coming up next. At the time, we just kind of ignored this post because there was no real reason to believe it. However, given that the Lunar New Year event has come and gone with the detailed title of Year of the Rooster, as it is also named in the image, the post began getting traction and becoming a bit more believable. The reason this post is important here is because of the mention of a new hero that isn't Doomfist, named Ancora. The theory here is that the next hero is a robot or Omnic AI designed by Ethio Liddell, not necessarily Efi herself, which the Blizzard post might lead you to believe. Based on the leak, the robot will be a female Omnic quadruped codenamed Ancora, who's a tank character who will fit a similar role of Reinhardt as a main tank for teams. This design seems extremely likely, as right now Reinhardt controls a lot of the meta by simply having no suitable replacement for his role in a team. It's hard to believe that Blizzard would post something random and unexpected as what they did, without having it as a major tie-in to the next hero coming out, and as well, they probably wouldn't post something like that if it was the actual hero herself, since that would probably be a little bit too much information this early on. The leak also goes to detailing Korra as coming from Numbani and having a West African accent, which would definitely fit right in line with the Atlas News article teaser with Efi. Now we definitely want to see a tank hero coming soon, because like we mentioned, there's really no replacement for Reinhardt at the moment, but there's also so much space in the tanks that really hasn't been explored yet. Someone that can not only defend their own team, but possibly disrupt the enemy team much more than just a Winston can by jumping in would be absurdly cool to see. And a tank Omnic could be really cool, especially if you could transform yourself like Bastion does to have some sort of defensive capabilities for your team, maybe even becoming a giant shield for them. These articles, teasers, posts, and leaks are all pretty great evidence that Efi is somehow involved in the hero pool of Overwatch, whether directly or indirectly, and that robots and AI are most likely to be a method of her involvement. Now, she could just be tied into the story itself, and maybe this will have something to do with the next origin story of a different hero or an existing hero, but it's most likely that this is the direct tie-in for the new hero, since we get one about every 3 to 4 months, and this would go perfectly in line with that. If you need more evidence, don't look any further than the Sombra origin video first seen at BlizzCon last November. During the origin video, a scene where Sombra is standing in front of a digital web of interconnected images, you can clearly see several hexagons with familiar and not so familiar icons, faces, and items of varying sizes. These images are further broken down into what looks like groups, presumably grouped together based on relevance to each other. The first one we want to focus on here is the Numbani flag that can be seen to the left of the Sombra in the image. You'll notice that it's a larger hexagon indicating it's probably some root or base or other important item, which shows it's the location of a target or point of interest for Sombra. To the lower right of the Numbani flag, connected to it, is what really hits the mark here. You can see a pixelated image of what looks to be a robotic insect or spider. This directly correlates to the leak post about Ankora being a quadrupedal Omnic, or a 4-legged AI-driven robot, and even though spiders have 8 legs and insects have 6, it still very closely resembles that overall idea. The connection to the Numbani flag indicates the connection to Efi, as she does live in Numbani and works on her robots and AI there as well. A couple of other tidbits we see here in the web may or may not be relevant to Efi and her role as a potential Overwatch hero. If we continue to the connection on the web, we see the presumed Ankora Omnic linked directly with Doomfist's gauntlet. Now this can mean a variety of things, such as Doomfist being tied into the story of Efi and Ankora somehow, or it could simply mean he is also just connected to Numbani itself. Which of course he is in some way via the gauntlet that we see in the payload on the map, although it's interesting to note that the connection on this web is between the quadruped image and Doomfist gauntlet, not the gauntlet and the Numbani flag. Heading in the opposite direction of the quadruped image is an image of a bipedal robot that seems to be connected to not only Numbani, but Volskaya Industries, which, as we already know, manufactures mechs and robots there that are designed to defend against AI-controlled Omnics. There may or may not be a connection here between Volskaya and Efi, however Numbani is really the only link that we can see, so we can't be too sure. Although given Efi's love of robotics, pairing up the two lore-wise wouldn't be too far-fetched, whether it's just loose allies or even deeper, like what if she were kidnapped and forced to work either for Doomfist creating Omnics or for Volskaya Industries creating anti-Omnic robots. Now the last image of note we want to look at here is the eye symbol directly above Sombra. We've seen this image a few times in the origin video here and on her screens during the hacker computer scene. If you take a look at the image closely, you'll see an obvious eye, but with a power on symbol in the center pointing to an electronic device of some kind, possibly a robot. There are 6 dots surrounding the eye, 3 on top and 3 on bottom. Now if we take a look back at the image of Efi, you'll notice her eyes are surrounded by 6 dots each, 3 on top and 3 on the bottom. This is probably way too close to be a coincidence, but if you look at the web even further, you'll notice that the eye is connected to both Volskaya and Numbani directly, with the only other connection between the two of them being the bipedal robot we talked about earlier. Okay, that's a lot of information to take in, but let's recap and take a look at how it all fits into the theory. the Overwatch team has indirectly announced that Doomfist is not the 24th hero most likely, which is confirmed by the leak post as well. They've also released a teaser article outlining Ethio, who's from Numbani, Africa, and her love for robots and AI, which goes right along with the leaked posts that claim that an omnic quadruped with a West African accent is going to be the next hero. These two instances are further backed by the somber web images connecting to the eye, which resembles Ethio's facial markings to Numbani, Volskaya Industries, an image of quadruped robot, and Doomfist gauntlet. All of these items separately may look strange or not mean much on their own, but you really can't deny that the links between them are strong when you look at the big picture, as well as the likelihood that these things spell out our new hero as either being Ethio or, more likely, a creation that she's designed and built. The primary reason most fans have for thinking that Ethio herself isn't the hero is because having an underage girl on the battlefield being shot at and potentially being killed is something that would go against the quality standards at Blizzard and most other gaming companies. But a robot controlled by Ethio, or even Ethio being a lore-only introduction to the new hero who is playable as the Omnic robot from the leak, is extremely plausible and likely. I'd even love to see some character that spawns in but can't actually leave the spawn room, and instead can use her abilities to summon a variety of different robots that you could then control as a hero, so you could maybe even use a couple different robots throughout the match depending on what your team needed, like a tank robot, a damage dealing robot, or even a support Omnic. Alright. So we can all take off our tinfoil hats and seriously consider this theory is about as close as we're going to get before a real announcement of the next Overwatch hero comes around, unless there's a couple more teasers that come out Blizzard's way. The prospect of having a new tank is excellent and very much needed, and there's no denying that a four-legged walking Death Omnic wouldn't be really cool. As always, thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, because we really appreciate it, and it makes me feel good about myself deep inside. If you've got any more theories or information about the next hero that you'd like to share, drop it in the comments below and I'll definitely try and check it out. Anyway, that's going to be it from me. See you guys next time. Peace.